how to reduce shame and blame, and how to reduce passing the pattern of shame and blame on to our children. So many of us refuse to be shamers and blamers and refuse to pass the pattern of shaming and blaming others onto our children. However, if we grew up in an environment where your parents shamed and blamed you often, those patterns can be deeply embedded into your subconscious mind, therefore leading you to perpetuate those cycles, even though you know deep down that is not who you are, that is not who you want to be. And even though you always end up feeling shame and guilt yourself after looping those patterns. A lot of the reason that we feel shitty for doing certain things that our parents did with us is because those patterns don't resonate with who you are. If those patterns were meant for your unique parenting style, because we're all here to parent uniquely to our own heart and inner code, if those patterns of blaming others, shaming others, hitting others, screaming all the time, if those really resonated with who you are here to be and as a parent, you wouldn't feel shitty about it. I'm pretty sure everyone who watches this video knows somebody in their life who hits, screams, does all the things, and doesn't feel any guilt for it at all. Like, at all. They're just not at a point in their journey where they've woken up to the desire to do differently. Where they're at in their current journey, those patterns are what feels true for them. Similarly, the reason that those patterns, if those patterns resonated with you, you wouldn't feel guilt about it at all, right? You wouldn't feel guilt about it at all, or shame or anything. So, even though, however, we have realized that there are certain patterns we don't want to pass on to future generations by our example and embodiment of them, it can still feel pretty hard to no longer loop them because they are so deeply embedded in our subconscious mind. If you grew up being told that the sky is pink from the time you came out of your mom's vagina, it would be very difficult when you realize that the sky is actually blue, the color blue, not pink. Over time, you would understand that, but it would take time because for the first 5 or 6 years of your life, you were told it was pink. And even though you want to get on board with calling it blue because you learned the truth that it is blue and not pink, that doesn't, your desire to want to start looking at the sky and saying, oh, it's a beautiful blue sky, it doesn't come overnight just because you were told the truth or just because you realize the truth. It doesn't just manifest overnight that you don't look at the sky anymore and say it's pink. You have been told since you were born that blue is pink. So it's going to take a little time and practicing looking at the sky and reminding yourself blue, 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 because for the first however many years you were programmed to believe it was pink. Similarly, we have been programmed as a society to project our emotions onto our children, to blame them for how we feel. And so it takes practice and reminders for that pattern to go bye-bye. So, how do we reduce the pattern of blaming our children and shaming them for the energetic environment of our home, for how we feel, and for our behavior? One way is to take full accountability for your attitude, for your tone, for your behavior, to take full accountability. When something happens, when your child drops something and you go, oh, right? Take full accountability. Don't leave it at all up to interpretation on the child as to who's to blame for your outrage or anger about the cup falling. Take complete accountability. That cup falling triggered me, and it's giving me an opportunity to just release some stuff that needs to come up and be released. I love you. It's no big deal. Your child is just not going to bed, is having a hard time going to sleep, and your tone is getting really ominous and scary, and you're showing that you're angry and irritated. Take full accountability, because it is definitely not our children's fault why we feel anger and rage and are irritated. Because at the same time that we are angry and upset and irritated about the child not going to sleep, there is a version of us who is totally accepting of the fact that our child is not tired, totally compassionate, accepting and understanding of that, and is able to flexibly navigate the situation with ease and with love and with grace and compassion. But that version of us is not really accessible until we take full accountability of the version of us that is triggered. If we continue to perpetuate blaming our child for how we feel, then we are not able to really shift into the version of ourselves that is totally okay with what's happening in the moment. So it's like, I am triggered by you not going to sleep, but it is not your fault, because shit happens. And there are times when me as an adult, I say I'm going to bed at 10 or 9 p.m. and my ass is still up at 1 a.m. It is not your fault that I am triggered by you not going to sleep. This is an opportunity for me to feel the feels that are coming up and release this energy that is coming up right now, to process it, and to be able to respond and just chill with you and speak to you from a higher level of emotional intelligence. If anything, I'm actually grateful that this is happening, because apparently there was this stuff within me to begin with that needed to come up to the surface, and me being triggered by you not going to sleep is helping it to come up. So actually, I'm grateful. Taking full accountability also shows our children what it looks like for an adult to be able to do that. Next thing you know, you have a 9-year-old, 8-year-old, 7-year-old, 17-year-old, 21-year-old walking around just taking full accountability of all types of shit. Taking full accountability of shit that you never took accountability for when we were like 18, 19, 21, and 9 years old. They're just walking around, you know what, Mom, it was me. I didn't put the remote where it was supposed to go. Or no, it was on me. I didn't do X, Y, Z. Like, it's just honesty, integrity. They just start to be that because they're witnessing you be honest and full of integrity just by constantly taking accountability for the things that we would be shamed or blamed for. It's similar to this. If you and I were traveling, going on a road trip, and I got in the car just pissed off, but I'm not telling you that it's not you or not something that you did. I'm not taking any accountability for my emotion. Zero communication, zero expression. The air in the car is going to be that of something else is to blame for why I feel how I feel. And we just don't want a home environment that has that. It's a very low frequency. It's a very low energy. And we and our families, our partners, and our children deserve to be in a home where everybody is just taking full accountability for where they're at, what they're feeling, and what they're processing, and where they know that it's a safe environment for them to do so. So a good way to take accountability is to create a foundation where that just becomes your norm is, I'm triggered because of XYZ, but I'm actually grateful that this happened so that I could release this pent up energy that needed to be released. I am feeling insert emotion, and I'm going to sit with this feeling so that I don't project it onto you or someone else. After I have sat with it and felt it and given myself time to process it, then I will speak to you about what just happened. Me feeling what I'm feeling is not your fault. And it's also not your responsibility to walk on eggshells so that I don't feel what I need to feel. Something else in life was going to make me feel it. So I'm just going to sit here and feel it. And then we'll talk in a very peaceful and intelligent way after. Like, this stuff sounds simple, but it's very, very freaking hard when you did not grow up seeing examples of it. Practice is key. If we think that we are going to break certain habits by doing the same thing over and over again, we are mistaken. We are mistaken. Everything is unfolding exactly how it's meant to, so you can't fail at life, at parenthood. You can't fail at any of this. However, if you have identified a desire, and if you have identified something that you no longer want to do, or something that you would rather do more of. If you have identified that you no longer want to hit your child, scream at your child, or have power struggles, if you have identified that you no longer want to project your anger, rage, and other feelings that are hard to sit with onto your children, then that puts you in a very empowered position to do something about it, versus the person who isn't aware at all of those patterns, nor do they have the desire to shift them. Simultaneous to the desire to parent from your peace is the ability to do so.